It's Thursday, April 9th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. More organizations are turning away from the seemingly overnight success platform Zoom, with Google banning its employees from downloading the software and the U.S. Senate now weighing in. And while we're all at home in quarantine, the importance of telemedicine has never been greater. We'll speak to the Chief Medical Officer of Heal, Dr. Renee Dua, about their platform. And we'll also have a roundup of some of the biggest stories of the week in gaming with our own Lisa Marie Segarra, including more details about the new PS5 controller and an Xbox update. And we're all familiar with streaming content in our homes, but what about in businesses? We'll have the co-founder and CEO of Atmosphere, Leo Resigon, talk about their platform that provides programming designed for businesses. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. All while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're finding us, you can join in the conversations that we get to have. We've got a lot of great stuff lined up for you for today, but let's get it started with some trending news. So to start off, we've got Zoom. Now, we're all familiar with Zoom right now. They've gone from 10 million downloads in December to about 200 million active users currently, at least as of last week, but they're facing a lot of backlash right now, and that's what's kind of in the news. A lot of privacy concerns, a lot of issues with end-to-end encryption, and what we're talking about with this is Google has actually banned their employees, joining a number of other companies, banned their employees from using Zoom on their work computers for video conferencing. So that's certainly a big move. That's obviously a very large company. Twitter's already done the same. I believe Facebook was in that same realm as well. But Google banning their employees, so they said that they should not be using the Zoom desktop client. There's also more news about this as other services are investigating. The Senate, the U.S. Senate the Senate's sergeant at arms has warned all senators not to use the service. So that's also the Senate doing this. And then you have a lot of privacy concerns that are happening with that as well, even going as far as Elizabeth Warren co-writing a letter with Ed Markey to Zoom, questioning how their platform works for children, because there's certainly regulations that come with that. The Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So that's something that we've heard with YouTube dealing with before, but now Zoom also being questioned about that. So some definitely some big things happening there. We'll have to see how this all shakes out. Now, Zoom's CEO has said that they're trying to address some of these issues. We'll see where it goes, but something to be concerned about. You can read more about that at Digital Trends. A couple other interesting headlines trending in association with coronavirus. Now, obviously, a lot of tech companies, a lot of tech firms are trying to figure out how we can tackle this and what they can do to tackle it. Well, MIT is also in the mix here. So MIT has been working with an app maker called Private Kit Safe Paths. And what they've done is they've created an app that's overcome several hurdles, obstacles and hurdles, we'll say, that they were having on making this the interoperability of it. So it can work on Android and iOS. Let's get down to what it actually does, though. So what this means is that this app itself can help track whether or not you've encountered somebody with coronavirus. So obviously you would have to be using it, but it uses GPS and it tracks your location history for 28 days. And then utilizing Bluetooth, it can tell if you come into contact with somebody else with a phone that's running this app who has come into contact with somebody with coronavirus. So say somebody gets diagnosed with COVID-19, and they can then, with this app, backtrack where they were over the last 14 days and be able to tell who they encountered. Now, if somebody else was using this app, they would get a ping saying, hey, you encountered someone this day, this time, who had COVID-19. You should be aware of this, maybe get tested. So it's something that they're just kind of rolling out right now. And clearly everybody would have to opt into it to really use it. But the big hurdles there as far as it being able to be used worldwide. So they're talking to a number of different countries. They're talking to the CDC. They're talking to the U.S. About how this could be implemented. But definitely an interesting technical achievement right there. You can read more about that at Digital Trends. And the next thing I have here is just kind of a disturbing video, but it's a reminder of why social distancing is important. And it's trending right now, so I figured we have to talk about it. And it's coming actually from a Finnish university. So researchers in Finland who created this video showcasing what happens when you're in, say, a supermarket and you cough or somebody coughs. It's how long it lingers there. It's a lot longer than you think. So they said they can last for about 2 minutes, and they can travel across up to several minutes, excuse me, and it can travel across up to 2 aisles. So this is something that you should be aware of. The video kind of demonstrates that. I don't want to alarm everybody, but that's what we're looking at right there with that. So definitely something to be concerned about. So you can take a look there at digitaltrends.com, just a reminder of why we're doing all of this and why it's important. All right, continuing on here with some trending news. Let's give you a couple other stories. We're all at home right now. A lot of people are streaming content, but a lot of people are gaming as well. And now Google Stadia has said that their Pro account is free to use. Free to use Google Stadia. So currently, members who are already subscribed will just get 2 months added onto their service. Normally, this is a $10 a month service. It gives you an immediate gateway to a library of free games. They've got a number of free games that are on there. I downloaded it myself just to try it out. Now, Google Stadia clearly hasn't had a fantastic launch over the last 5 months. It's been out for about 5 months, I believe. And it's not really taken off, let's be honest about that. So now with this, you'll be able to play games such as Destiny 2, Codemasters Grid, you've got Thumper, SteamWorld Dig 2, so a bunch of different games that will have on there that are free that you would be able to play on kind of whatever platform you would want to. So it's an interesting thing to try out. We're all at home. Why not give it a shot and test it out and see what streaming gaming is like? Now, it will be in 1080p. They do promise there's the availability of 4K, but to scale down what they're doing, they switch it to 1080p. So that's something else that you can find out about at digitaltrends.com. And continuing on, speaking of streaming content, Disney Plus is having a pretty big day. Pretty big year so far. So they have, within the 5 months, they just announced that they have 50 million paid subscribers worldwide. 50 million. That's a pretty great growth for something that again, has only been around for a few months, 5 months as well. So they said with that, clearly the success of The Mandalorian. Remember when the biggest story in the world was Baby Yoda? What a time that was. But The Mandalorian clearly drove a lot of that, but now releasing some of these movies sooner than they had before. So Frozen 2 being on there, The Rise of Skywalker, and then, of course, a number of different special, unique things that they're putting up. They've got some standalones and some shorts that are showcasing on there. The Simpsons is even going to have one on there tomorrow. So they're putting out some more original content for that to kind of bolster it. But that's something that's pretty interesting to see. 50 million subscribers here for Disney Plus, so definitely a success there. One final trending news story, and we do have our product of the day, and we've got our interviews coming up, so I want to make sure that we get to those. Continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. Again, thanks to everybody for joining. Hit that subscribe button. But early this morning, there was an escape from the Earth, and that was 3 astronauts being sent up to the International Space Station. This was a launch from Russia, because the Russians are the only ones who can actually send people up right now. I'll talk about that here in a second. So it was in a Russian Soyuz MS-16 spacecraft, and the 3 astronauts started a 6-hour journey starting at about 4 a.m. Eastern time to get to the space station. They should be arriving there they might actually already be there by now. So the launch was definitely unique because of the fact of the quarantine that they had to go through. Now, normally they do go into quarantine before going up to space because they don't want to carry any regular germs or viruses up there, but definitely with the coronavirus concern, it was a huge thing. So they were extremely quarantined, only interacting with some of the other crew. So they apparently are safe to go up there, but that's starting off a long mission, so they're going to be up there for a few months, 2 to 3 months. Now, SpaceX is also planning to send astronauts up in mid-May, so that's coming up just about a month away, that SpaceX would be the first private company to send them up into to the International Space Station. So we'll see what happens with that, but definitely an interesting story. You can read more about it at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
Okay, so let's do our product of the day. So here's what we've got. It's talking about gaming. It's time to start gaming at home, right? Well, why not get a good laptop for that you can use after all of this is over? And that is the Razer Blade 15.6-inch gaming laptop. This thing is pretty badass. Let me tell you why. It's got a 15.6-inch edge-to-edge display, which means the visuals are going to be amazing on this thing. It's got the 9th gen Intel Core i7 processor and 16 gigs of RAM, so you're not going to be slowed down while you're trying to game, and that's definitely important if you're going to be using this. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive and a 128 gig solid state drive added in there, so that way you can run through everything really fast. It's got the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti graphics card. What that means is it's a nice graphics card. That's what we're saying with that. And it's also virtual reality ready, so you can set that up, and it's compatible with Oculus, HTC Vive, and Windows Mixed Reality. So definitely a cool laptop to pick up. There's a link right there that you can click to go check this out, and that is the Razer Blade 15.6-inch gaming laptop. And that is our product of the day. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is Digital Trends Live, so we've got a lot to get to here today, and I thank everybody for joining us. Coming up next, we've got Dr. Renee Dua, who is the Chief Medical Officer at HEAL, talking about telemedicine. This is a really important time for telemedicine. I mean, even regardless of COVID-19, we all need care. I mean, we still have to take care of ourselves, and telemedicine is definitely an important factor in that. So we're going to be talking about their platform for it, all of that, and a lot more coming up. Stick around. Back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you are watching on, because we get to have some great conversations here, including talking about this telemedicine. It is more important than ever. And to talk about that, joining us right now, we have Dr. Renee Dua, who is the Chief Medical Officer at HEAL. Doctor, thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate you joining the platform here today. But I want to talk about what you have going here, if we can give everybody kind of a background about HEAL and what all it is.
Well, thanks so much for having me. HEAL is a software company. We have developed an app that allows patients to book house calls. So literally a doctor shows up at your door. In light of the COVID outbreak, we've moved up our telemedicine feature so that the first interaction you can have with your doctor is over video or phone call. And that's really been a great way to keep both our doctor and medical teams safe, as well as keep our patients safe while we're giving them the comfort of knowing what's going on, whether or not they might have COVID versus whether or not they need to have their cholesterol checked or their mammogram done. Life goes on even through a pandemic.
Right, and that's so important for everybody to remember too. Keeping distance, obviously, to protect the doctors, but protect ourselves, and then, yeah, normal life procedures that have to happen as we go through this. Talking about just Heal in general, I'm curious to know what the inspiration was, what kind of led to you founding this. What were some of those issues?
Well, in addition to being a doctor, I'm also a mom. And years ago, when I got married and started the process of having children, for me, it was very challenging. And it led to a lot of, honestly, personal travesty. My husband and I started Heal together. He's the CEO of our company. And the idea was to deliver access to patients. So my husband and I, we happen to be people who speak English. We have lots of education. We have an enormous amount of support from our parents and nannies. But there are those amongst us that don't have that kind of access to help, let alone medical care. And so the idea behind Heal is to really deliver this house call and this telemedicine call. And we also do remote monitoring as well, so that a patient can stay home and learn about what her options are to get better. In other words, very little magic happens in a doctor's office or in a medical building. The magic can happen between a doctor and a patient if we get out of the way as insurers, as payers, as all of those folks that may create confusion in the patient doctor relationship.
What kinds of things, just as a general example, would somebody be able to call up for and have diagnosed via telemedicine?
Sure. And we do full scope care. So to give you an example, we have a member of our Heal team that just had a baby, and mom is going home today, and mom had a telemedicine house call today with a pediatrician to introduce baby, introduce mom, and make sure everybody looks good and feels good. And then in a few days, a pediatrician can go out to the house and check on the baby to make sure everything is moving along swimmingly. By the same concept, someone who's a senior, they might be on multiple medications or they may need their cancer screening. We're able to deliver care to those folks. And the great news is we don't always have to be in the living room. We might meet a patient who's diabetic and determine that patient needs a blood sugar monitor to check or a blood pressure cuff to keep an eye on his or her blood pressure. We can leave those devices, have the results of those devices come into us on our software, and then do telemedicine calls to check in with our patients. Again, while we're not in their living room, but able to keep an eye on them.
Looking at everything that's happening right now with this new world that we're in, that we're all adapting to, the idea of quarantine and pandemics and everything that's happening here and changing the way that we interact in so many different ways, how do you see a platform like Heal transitioning once we are out of this, once we're out of the concern of the pandemic? Do you think this is something that's going to stick around where people are going to start adapting more to telemedicine, or do you think it might shift back more to actual standard visits or having a doctor come to the house?
Well, what we've done at Heal is a triple threat, right? We have disrupted so many industries in healthcare, and we are poised to make it so that patients can get the best care at home. I do think they'll use telemedicine, but there is nothing, and I do regularly see patients, there is nothing like having your doctor home giving you the comfort and confidence of knowing you're going to be okay. There's also nothing like having that high touch care of seeing values if you have chronic illness or if you are short of breath, seeing those results for yourself, having your doctor interpret them for you real time. There's nothing like that in the market that I'm aware of, certainly, that will provide such high touch, high quality care to patients at this moment. So it's very exciting what we've done at Heal. It really is, in my mind, the way to be the best doctor, be the safest patient.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's fantastic what you're doing with that, and clearly always important, but definitely right now, in this era that we're living in, even more so, and really fantastic. Talking about Heal, going forward, you've got this triple threat. Where do you see, say, like 5 years from now, how this is going to go? Clearly, the personal interaction is going to be still very important, but are there trends or shifts that you think are going to happen based on what's happening right now?
100%. I think all of us are going to use software to deliver personalized care. And I think that the way we do deliver house calls and telemedicine, remote monitoring, this will be standardized across the US in its territories. This is how we want patients to be able to access care.
Well, for everybody out there too who wants to utilize this, for somebody who's at home right now and is thinking, this would work great for me, what's the first step that they would need to do?
Go on the web to heal.com. You can register
And that's
there.
it. And just then you can get started right there.
Super simple.
Wow. Fantastic. I mean, I want to say thank you very much for joining us here today, and also just how much, speaking for everyone, how much we appreciate our doctors and healthcare providers right now, how important this is, being on the front lines of all this. Yeah, it's really, really appreciated. And Doctor, thank you so much for being here with us here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you kindly.
All right, so there we go, talking about that telemedicine, just how important it is. And clearly, we're working from home, everybody's working and telecommuting, and this show is being broadcast online right now, kind of doing that whole connection. And it's just really interesting to see that and talk to somebody who's on the front line. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. This is Digital Trends Live. Appreciate you all being here. We've got more coming up, though. Let's talk about some gaming next. We've got Lisa Marie Segarra, who's going to join to give us an update on some of the biggest trends, including the PS5 controller and maybe an Xbox update. That's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. Appreciate all of you tuning in. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we like to keep you up to date on everything that is going on in technology, and certainly gaming is a big factor of that. Right now, it always is, but definitely when we're all at home and gaming more, we want to know what's happening, and that is why Lisa Marie Segarra is joining us. She is our gaming editor. There's a lot happening this week. I will say the one we're talking about right here out of the gate have me the most excited, just because finally we got to see something of what Sony is doing. But tell us about this new controller for the PS5.
Yeah, so it certainly seems like Sony has kind of set fairly low expectations because they haven't said anything for a while. So fans were definitely excited when on Twitter they made this complete surprise announcement on the PlayStation account and they revealed the new controller. And Sony is known for having the DualShock controllers. It's always like DualShock 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like the PS 1, 2, 3, 4, but this time it's the Dual Sense, and it got a major makeover. So it looks totally different. It's got this two-tone white and black setting. It takes the light bar from the DualShock 4 that came out with the PlayStation 4 and puts the light next to the touch bar that you have instead of on top of it or integrated with it. You also seem to get the sense that it's a lot more ergonomic. They did also release a blog post with a lot more details, and in that they do say that how it feels is really important. They say that they wanted to make it feel like the controller was an extension of the player's hands, that they tested it with players' hands of different sizes, which as a woman gaming too. We tend to have smaller hands, not always, but it's nice to know that, it's going to be more accessible for a wide range of people. They also added on some new features. So you don't just have that makeover and aesthetic change. They made a new create button, and that kind of iterates on the share button that they added with the DualShock 4. So with the share button, what you can do now is take a screenshot really easily, record, post to Twitch or Twitter or Facebook, wherever you want, or just like share it or save that memory. But now they haven't done too many details for the create button, but it seems like they want to take that ability with the share button and being able to, spread what you're doing all over and kind of make it more expansive. Create makes me think that maybe they're doing something where streaming is even more integrated. You can make clips more easily or something like that, or even edit, similar to how on an iPhone you can take a screenshot now and immediately add text or write on it. So maybe they're doing something with that, especially with that touchpad. It seems like they have a lot of ability to do something really creative. So it's really exciting. And I'm really thrilled about it. I think it's really great. I know some people aren't crazy about the design, but honestly, I think they really needed a change, and I'm really thrilled. I can't wait to actually have it in my hand and see how it feels. PlayStation isn't always the best when it comes to controllers. I personally have always valued Xbox and their controllers, especially the Elite series and with their second one. So I'm really thrilled to see what they do. We do have an op-ed by one of our writers too that talks about how this is a return to their innovation. Sony used to be really innovative when it came to their controllers with their analog sticks, and then they just kind of fell flat. It was the same DualShock year after year. So really, really exciting to see them step it up.
Yeah, I think it looks great too. I mean, definitely the ergonomic side of it. I can tell that just the way that the buttons kind of lay flat like that. It looks really cool. Makes me even more excited to see it when they finally reveal what the PS5 is going to look like. But I guess we'll have to wait for that part. Continue to go on here talking about some other trends in gaming. I know esports obviously huge, but there's a new one that could be rivaling maybe Fortnite. Can you tell us about this, about Valorant?
Yeah, so esports in general has always been kind of quiet. It's definitely big, but it's big and has a really vocal audience, but still somehow is niche. It's not as big as the overall gaming market. But with all of the sports canceled, this is really esports time to shine. And so Riot Games is coming out with Valorant. They made some announcements in late 2019 about some new games that they have coming out and even a series, and it was very mysterious. They called this one, for example, Project A, and now we finally get a name. It's going to be Valorant, and it's kind of the League of Legends meets Overwatch, which is also a very esports focused game. And when Activision Blizzard came out with Overwatch, they were very much like, how do we make a game that will work for esports really well? And it seems like Valorant is their answer to that on the Riot side. So really thrilling to see, more creators kind of come out with new ways to make games and in a way that will work for esports. Part of the problem with esports is that games aren't necessarily made for competition or viewed competition, even though they are competitive. Not everything works in a way that can have an audience that follows it really easily. It's really confusing. Whose viewpoint do you see? Do you see one player's viewpoint? Do you see an overarching one? And so when games are coming out with this in mind, it makes for a lot better integration, and it just works more because they have that front of mind when they're making it. So it's a really fun concept, and they're doing it, or the rollout, in a really, really interesting way as well. So they have these invite-only betas, which is pretty successful so far. So you have streamers doing the beta keys, and then ordinary gamers like you or I or anyone watching can then, get the beta keys by seeing them on the screen while they're watching those streamers. So it's very word of mouth. It reminds me a lot of when Apex Legends came out, and it really gained a lot of traction by just having streamers play it and, having other gamers say, what is this game Ninja's playing right now? It's not Fortnite. I'm really curious. So it's really exciting to see them take advantage of this time. And with esports growing more and more, I think that it'll be really exciting to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. That is a really cool way to roll it out. I kind of like that idea just to see if it works, where you have to watch it to get the beta key. All right, I know that we're running a little low on time, but I have to ask you this because I went ahead and downloaded it today because it's free. Google Stadia Pro, now free for like 2 months. I want to know your opinion on it. Is it something? I think I have a general idea, but tell us your thoughts on Google Stadia Pro.
So, I mean, it is free. It's a, kind of like with the esports thing, this is their time to shine if there ever was one. And they certainly need one. It's Google Stadia has not had a great rollout, and Pro has especially not had a great rollout. There's supposed to be a free version coming out soon. But really, Google Stadia needs all the help that it can get. And I think that they know while people are sitting at home and gaming more, that the next 2 months will be pretty key. You do have issues with internet speeds and bandwidth being slowed down because everyone's at home and on their computers. So, all games are defaulting to 1080p now. You can change this in your setting, but I mean, there are so many other options out there too. Good luck to them.
Well, there it is. So Google Stadia Pro, free for 2 months. Give it a shot. I downloaded it. I'll try it. All right, and I know we're about out of time, but I did have to ask about this too, because with Microsoft pretty much announcing that all of their events are canceled forever. No, until I think July 2021 is what they're doing. And with E3 canceled, we thought we were going to get some Xbox news, but what do you think is going to happen with that? Are we going to get like an Xbox only event?
Yeah, I definitely think that they will. So basically, Microsoft said that all of the events that it holds, which it holds quite a few actually, especially, their own conferences, especially with the Xbox Series X coming out. So basically, all of those events will probably happen. These are Xbox and Microsoft hosted events. They're just going to be online anyway. E3 for 2020, which was supposed to take place in June, is already canceled due to coronavirus. And Xbox and Phil Spencer, their head of Xbox, said that they had some really big plans for E3. So I don't think they're going to let those go to waste. I think that they're going to do a presentation online. They're going to make the most of it. They're really excited to hype up the Series X before it comes out. So I think we wait and see maybe around June, maybe they'll tweak the timeline since they have more flexibility now to see what happens and how they announce it and how they revise their physical in-person, big conference with the audience and people cheering to online only event. I think they'll make it work. I think that they are too excited about the Series X to not. But this is until July 2021. And so people are already thinking about E3 2021. It's important to note, though, that this is only for Microsoft hosted events. So if there is an E3 2021, they may still go, but time will tell.
Wow, it's definitely interesting seeing how it all plays out, but I am excited to see the Xbox Series X, both them and the PlayStation 5. I want more. But Lisa Marie, thank you so much for joining us. It's always great to catch up on everything that's going on with gaming, and I will talk to you next week with whatever has happened in that amount of time. Thanks a lot, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Obviously, we are streaming online. Streaming content, something we're all familiar with. What about streaming content for businesses? That's what we're going to talk about next. We've got Leo Ressing from Atmosphere to talk about their platform. Really interesting. So stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us wherever you're at. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Obviously, we are streaming here every single day. We're all familiar with streaming content at home, but what about streaming content for businesses? We're going to talk about a pretty amazing success story and talk about that platform right now, which is Atmosphere. So joining us, we have Leo Ressig, who's the co-founder and CEO, to talk about Atmosphere. First off, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to talk about this platform, but to get going, I really want to hear a little bit more about the beginning of Atmosphere, what it was that you saw that was kind of an issue in the market and why you wanted to solve it and how you went about it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on, and welcome to Austin, Texas. I'm the only one in my office, so I'm able to kind of have a semblance of my normal life right now. But yeah, it's going to answer your question, to go back to the beginning, really, it was solving a need for businesses' content, right? So we think of this is pre-streaming. You just think about how television is traditionally produced. It's for a living room environment. And of course, live sports are always great to watch in bars and restaurants. But for the most part, you don't need to be a sports bar to have TVs in your facility, whether you're a bar, a restaurant, a gym, health club. So my brother and myself, we started the Chive.com 12 years ago. If you're unfamiliar or anyone watching is unfamiliar, it's a humor and lifestyle website and app that curates and packages viral video photos and viral photos and videos. And so as most digital media publishers are looking to find a new audience, my brother and I saw a huge opportunity to leverage consumer-facing streaming devices. In our case, we leverage Apple TV to stream, to take our viral video content and distribute it to businesses, and so not to consumers, not to compete with Netflix and Hulu, but to take all this amazing viral video content that doesn't require audio to be enjoyed, curate it, package it, and it can coexist in bars and restaurants. And so we started that venture about 3 years ago, and that's kind of led us to where we're at today. And we've further expanded upon the content offerings to go beyond bars and restaurants. And we have over 20 audio optional channels that we're distributing through Atmosphere. It's the parent platform. And it's free to businesses, and we even give them a free Apple TV. So we're seeing a lot of demand for it, especially given the day and age that we live in now.
I think that's interesting, going from, clearly the Chive, which is fantastic, by the way, and taking that content, which makes sense to start off with that, but then expanding to these 20 other channels. What kind of what's specific about content that's good for businesses versus normal streaming content that we see? Is there something that you're looking for, like maybe an example of what some of these channels are?
Yeah, so, Digital Trends is a channel on the platform. So I think you guys have done a really good job of taking your expertise and your content and figuring out and tweaking it based on the distribution platform. So Digital Trends, much like all publishers and media companies, they distribute their content across their core owned and operated, digitaltrends.com. You also have your YouTube, you've got your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, and Snapchat. And Snapchat's a good example. These media brands are reformatting their content specific to the use case, to the screen and the consumer. And so for us, when we look at content partners, we look at two things to take into account. One is, what business is this going to be suited for? And two, does the content require audio to be enjoyed? And so most of our channels are suited for bars and restaurants, and that's Chive TV. That's our flagship channel. It has the largest distribution and viewership. But we also just partner with America's Funniest Home Videos, and we have AFV TV, and Red Bull is a longtime partner. So we have Red Bull TV. They have an awesome library of content that they spent tens and hundreds of millions of dollars creating, and we're the benefactor of having that content. So yeah, we go deep into bars and restaurants, but we also, gyms and health clubs. Everyone in there has their headphones in, and they have and TVs everywhere. And so we created a channel called Motivate TV, and that's all what it sounds like. It's motivational workout stuff. It's amazing humans doing amazing feats of human nature. And we're seeing a lot of verticalized success, even down to veterinarian clinics, where we have a cute puppies and kittens and animals channel.
See, that's something I would have even thought of. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, thinking about it, going forward as you're expanding and finding these other opportunities outside of bars and restaurants, and there's never going to be a shortage of screens. I mean, we're seeing more screens pop up everywhere in all kinds of different aspects. What are some other growth opportunities that you see with this kind of programming?
Yeah, I mean, literally wherever there's a consumer out of home in a retail business with dwell time, right? So we're not just solving for subpar programming in businesses. We're also solving a huge need in all businesses, which is, okay, you've got your customer at your bar, your restaurant, your dentist office. They're there for a reason. They're there to have, drinks and dinner with friends. If you're at the dentist office, you're getting your teeth cleaned. But what do all these businesses want? More revenue. And so what we're able to offer is a really cool kind of the SaaS component of the business. It's a very sophisticated yet very basic digital signage manager. And so what we offer is the opportunity for the business to upload their own house ads that play within the content. So every 3 minutes, if you're at the dentist office, you can see the teeth whitening special. Or if you're at the bar, you can see this band that's coming in on Friday that you may come back for. And so there's an ROI on the product for these businesses to market to their customers while they're there. And digital signage has been around for years. We're not reinventing the wheel, but what we are doing is taking a content first approach. So to that end, give them engaging content, give the customer engaging content. And then, obviously we pay for this product and the business survives and thrives with advertising. And that's paid advertising, but give them digital signage. So our content loop is really simple, snackable bites of content, 3 minutes of content, 1 minute of house ads for the business, and then up to 1 minute of commercials that pay for the service, which allows us to give it away for free. So it checks a lot of boxes. It's something that cable can't offer. Like, first of all, you pay for a cable subscription and you cannot put your own house ads within the cable content.
Yeah, it's brilliant, actually. I mean, the fact that it's free for all these places to use, too, that's just an added bonus on there. And I know that there's a round of funding that you just completed. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that's going to mean for Atmosphere?
Yeah, exactly. So we got really lucky. We closed a funding round right before the world got on tilt for a minute. So, we have a couple of great lead investors in this round. It's S3 Ventures out of Austin, Texas, with a co-lead, Valor, out of Chicago. And the investment for us just means, a couple of things. One, we've got some cash in the bank in a really turbulent time, which allows us to sleep at night. And two, we've really figured out how to scale this business efficiently. And so what I mean by that is we're able to give away a free Apple TV and all this great content away for free because the unit economics are amazing in terms of how much we're able to monetize the product via paid ads. And given the current state of streaming, and look at what Pluto TV is doing, look what Zumo's doing, Vudu, Tubi, they're all having their day in the sun right now because consumers do have choices and they're going to pay for some SVOD subscription channels like your Netflix and your Hulus and your HBOs. But you're also finding that consumers are going to sit through commercials. And so to that end, we're able to monetize this product quickly, which means this round of funding is going towards, bolstering some more content opportunities, adding some more partner channels to the platform, but also just scaling this business in what we call internally was we're running 100-yard dashes against ourselves because everyone's focused on streaming in the living room and no one's focused on streaming for businesses. So we have a huge opportunity right now to really take the entire market, not only in bars and restaurants, but all retail industries, and be the leader in streaming TV. So yeah, it's going towards distribution and customer acquisition.
Well, congratulations on all the success. I mean, like I said, it's a brilliant business model, and I want to say thank you very much for joining us here today too to talk about it. I know that you're in your office. This is my office for right now. It's the corner of my living room, but definitely fascinating to talk about this. And Leo, thank you so much for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks a lot. And of course, we appreciate being on Atmosphere as well. So thanks to everybody who's joining us wherever you are at. Of course, hit that subscribe button. Coming up next, though, we have Real News, where Aaron Keeney is going to bring us up to date on what's going on with movies and television, talking about content. We've got some interesting things to talk about, so stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. Welcome back. Thanks for watching. Whatever platform you're on, hit that subscribe button, get the notifications when we go live, because we like to keep you up to date on what's going on in technology. But right now, let's keep you up to date on what is happening with movies and entertainment. It is time for Real News. And joining us, we have Aaron Keeney, as usual. So, Aaron, I got to ask, every week there's so much that happens in every single day right now where things are changing in this industry. But what are some of the latest topics that we need to cover here for Real News today?
Well, I was thinking, I feel like I've been the bearer of kind of bad news for movie fans over the last few weeks. I'm here to do that, but I wanted to, to talk about a little bit of silver lining here for all of us movie lovers during this time of, of sheltering in place and staying in our homes, is that there is so much great content out there to stream. Am I right? I mean, there's just such a wide selection for us to be watching from our homes. But at the same time, it can get a little bit overwhelming. You see all of these new releases. So today I wanted to start off by narrowing down some new picks and some top choices that you could stream this weekend while you're waiting safely at home. So first up, we have Universal Pictures Trolls World Tour, which is available this Friday for purchase. And that's on its original release date. So this is the day that it was intended. They didn't switch anything from that date. This is the sequel, of course, to the 2016 animated film, and it's total eye candy if you saw the first one. It's set in a storybook kingdom. There's lots of pop music and lights and glitter and psychedelic pastels. It's a true escape. The setting looks like my 11-year-old niece's bedroom for sure. So it's a very, very much a true escape for everything that's going on right now. But this is the first Hollywood movie that was intended for a theater release that's going straight to streaming. So if you can believe it, Greg, where we are in 2020 right now, all eyes in Hollywood are on Trolls World Tour. There's a lot on the line with this movie. And that's because, people at Hollywood studios are wondering, okay, will people pay about $20, to watch this movie release at home? Are they gonna pay up and see? So this is basically a test case. This film is basically a test case for Hollywood. If it goes badly, it's a sign that there's little money to be made from these new releases until they can get back to the movie theaters. So studios might have to wait longer. But if this test is a success, if people are finding, oh, I kind of like this, getting to see new releases from the comfort of my home, if they will pay those ticket prices, you have to wonder, will we ever go back to the theatrical release? So this is something we're going to have to wait and see. So all eyes on Trolls World Tour. Switching gears a little bit, if Trolls aren't your thing, this is so exciting. they just added on Hulu this year's Oscars Best Picture winner, Parasite. That's from Korean director Bong Joon-ho. And if you remember, he also took home Best Director at this year's Oscars. I love this movie. If you don't know Bong Joon-ho, get to know him. He is incredible. And what's cool is Hulu is not just streaming for free on Hulu for its subscribers, Parasite, but it's also streaming 3 more of his films. So you can kind of have your own Bong Joon-ho movie festival this weekend, which I highly recommend. Switching gears again, so if you're not into Parasite or if you've seen it, like myself, a little comedic relief, the film Like a Boss. That stars the hilarious Tiffany Haddish and Salma Hayek and the always funny Rose Byrne. That is available for purchase this weekend. And if you wait a couple more weeks, you'll be able to rent it on April 21st. You can also rent horror film Brahms the Boy 2, if you remember this one, starring Katie Holmes and that really scary doll. That one's out for streaming. And also Ip Man 4, that of course is the final film of Wilson Yip's very famous martial arts series. And if you remember, we showcased most of these films on Real News. So if you want to, of course, I got to promote, streaming of some Real News episodes, past episodes, if you want to learn a little bit more background about some of these films to watch. Now, our last pick, though, is the #1 movie in the country right now. Greg, do you have any idea what the #1 movie is in the country right now? I will give you a hint.
I don't even know where you would actually be showing it to be #1 right now. I have no idea.
Okay, we're talking video sales, and my hint was going to be this is from your home state, so a little local love here for the #1 film in digital sales. The movie is called Phoenix, Oregon, and it was shot right here in the state of Oregon. Of course, we're coming to you all from our living room offices in the state of Oregon. And this film made nearly $4,000 over the weekend in digital sales. So I did say $4,000 in sales. So that's what we're talking about here. Those are the numbers which get you to the top spot in this time without movie theaters. You're used to hearing about $1-million openings, multi-million-dollar openings. The film is really sweet. It follows 2 guys who quit their jobs and set out to restore an old bowling alley. And they also have a dream of serving the world's greatest pizza. Noble men here, noble endeavors here in this movie. I love this plot. But after the film's March theater release was canceled, the Ashland, Oregon-based production company, they shifted gears really quickly. They offered this video link, a private link, for viewers, and for a bargain ticket price of just $6.50, you can stream this movie. You get a 48-hour window. You also get a free digital copy of the film with its official summer release. And also what's cool is when you get onto the site and you buy your ticket, you can, some of the profits go to some of these smaller independent theaters that are really, really hurting with all of these movie theater closures. So yeah, you click on, you buy your ticket, you scroll down this list, and some of your profits, you can pick which theater the profits will go to. So it can be a local theater, in Portland or Kansas City. It's kind of up to you. And I thought that was really, really sweet, just kind of helping these theaters that normally showcase these smaller independent films.
Yeah, that's really cool. Also, Phoenix, Oregon is tiny. I know exactly where that is. It's just outside of Medford. That's hilarious that they made a movie about Phoenix, Oregon. Continuing on here, now I know, with a lot of the big movies that were coming out, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, about how all the dates are shifting because the theaters are closed. In particular, I'm always fascinated with the Marvel movies, but there's all these blockbusters. What kind of news do we have as far as where they're shifting now? What's the latest update?
Yeah, well, Disney has made some sweeping changes. So I think they're, just with their 2020 and their 2021 and some 2022 changes. So I think that Disney at least and some of these Marvel movies, at least they're getting, a rough schedule together. So first up, the studio just announced, though, that Mulan will come to theaters July 24th. And if you remember, that was the tentpole movie, one of the first ones to be pulled from the schedule back in March. So I think that's some hopeful news. That's a bold move. They're moving it to the summer season. So at least have a tentpole movie to look forward to this summer. And Disney, for the most part, is following a traditional theatrical course for most of its films right now. But in their release, their announcement of their schedule, they did say that one of their films, Artemis Fowl, if you're a fan of that, that's going to skip the theatrical release altogether. So that's going to go straight to streaming. Otherwise, though, Disney is pretty much following this route. They're going to keep these theater openings, which I think is important. If you've got a need for speed, I had to say it. If you have a need for speed, you're going to have to be patient, though, for some big 2020 titles. Paramount Studios has announced Top Gun Maverick is now moving from its June 24th, 2020 release date to December 23rd. I've got to say, we've already waited 34 years, if you can believe it, for a Top Gun sequel. So I think, all of the fans, we're going to be able to wait until the Christmas season for this one to come out. This is director Joseph Kosinski's sequel to Tony Scott's 1986 blockbuster Top Gun. And Kosinski, the director, was at the helm for big hits like Oblivion and Only the Brave. So I think we're in pretty good hands with this one. And, there's a certain confidence with this film, which gives me some faith that it's going to be good. It's always hard with sequels, especially, to a beloved movie and like a pop culture hit. But initially, they scheduled the release date for Top Gun Maverick. They moved it from a Friday in the summer to a Wednesday, to a midweek release. So that shows they have a lot of faith in this film. I think also it brings them confidence that the last two Tom Cruise-led films released in December were big box office hits. That was, of course, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol back in 2011 and Jack Reacher in 2012. So those two both brought in big box office numbers. So I think they're pretty confident that Top Gun Maverick is going to do well as well.
Yeah, I will definitely be one of the people buying a ticket to Top Gun Maverick. I mean, there's no doubt I'll be there whenever it opens up. I'll be there on opening day. I know I jumped ahead there earlier because I always get excited about the Marvel news. But what do we know about the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I do have that list here because I know Greg is going to care about this. I want to add really quickly though, because I just want to pat myself on the back for the incredible restraint I just showed, not quoting all of the quotes that I know from Top Gun. Are you with me? I mean, Highway to the Danger. I just want to say I had my cheesy line there, but I'm a big Top Gun fan. But for Marvel movies, like we said, it's so complex. The calendar is so complex, so we don't have the time to even go through all of them that they've moved. But some of the big ones, this is really good news. The highly anticipated Black Widow, which we talked about being bumped from its May 1st release, has a new date of November 6th this year. So that's a good sign. Of course, though, that date used to belong to MCU's Eternals. So that one gets bumped. We're going to see these domino effects now. MCU's Eternals now is set for a February 2021 release. And like we said, with all these Marvel releases, timing is everything. Getting these out in the right order. So it's a complex process. But the other one that they kept, let's see, Spider-Man 3 will hit theaters July 2021 is another one that has a set date for next summer. And then Captain Marvel 2 was actually moved up a couple of weeks. We'll still have to wait until July 2022 for that one, but at least it has a date. So we have kind of a rough calendar up through July. Is there a particular one, Greg, that you're waiting for, or do you have a favorite?
For me, I want to see how it translates onto the Disney Plus series because they're all interconnected. So that means all those are going to get delayed too. But Spider-Man would probably be the one that I'm most excited about, even though I know it's a little ways away. Still, yeah, Spider-Man's always going to be number one for me.
Well, you got to wait next summer. It's going to fly by. Time will fly. July 2021, you get your Spider-Man. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Any final thing that we want to talk about as far as anything streaming that people to look forward to?
Well, we don't have a confirmed date for this yet, but I just wanted to add, because we like to talk about, independent films, and we talked about South by Southwest last week and about how they canceled the festival. But now Amazon Prime Video, they just launched a partnership with South by Southwest. So you can watch works from the filmmakers from this year's festival, along with some other filmmakers. That is slated for a 10-day run sometime at the end of April. So we don't have the confirmed date yet, but what's cool is it is free if you just have an Amazon account. So you don't have to have Amazon Prime. You just sign up for an Amazon account. I feel like most people have an Amazon account. If you have that, you can watch. It's a 10-day festival of South by Southwest. So I thought that was exciting.
Nice. Well, Aaron, as always, Thank you so much, for joining here for Real News, to keep up to date with everything. Always appreciate it. And I will talk to you next week with whatever's happened then. Now I've got lots of stuff that I can watch, so appreciate it. And thanks a lot, Aaron.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, there is Aaron Keeney for Real News every week here, keeping us up to date with what is happening with streaming movies and how it's all changing so quick. And I thank everybody who's joining us here, too. So this is Digital Trends Live. I appreciate you being here for the show. We're live every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. And tomorrow on the show, we've got Ciara Pressler for another edition of Work Life. We've got Ken Young for Tech Briefs. We've got all the news you can handle and some special guests that are going to be stopping by, too. So hit that subscribe button, share the show, let other people know about it, and join us here every single day. And I thank you for being a part of this. And I'm Greg Nibbler, and I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.